If you're over 60 and still want to enjoy a satisfying sex life, I need you to hear this. Because most older men are making quiet, devastating mistakes in bed, and they don't even know it. I've seen it destroy confidence, relationships, and even health. And the worst part, these mistakes are entirely preventable. I'm Dr. Rena, a physician specializing in men's health for over 3 decades. I've treated thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and what I'm about to share with you, they all wish someone had told them sooner. Because sexual health isn't just about libido or testosterone, it's about blood flow, pelvic strength, emotional connection, and adapting to a body that's changing with age. You're about to discover 5 overlooked sexual truths that most men never hear until it's too late. Truths that could protect your prostate, revive your intimacy, and help you feel like yourself again. And the 5th one, it's something you're probably already doing, but in a way that's silently backfiring. In just a moment, I'll explain what that is. But first, let's begin with the most urgent truth, the one that holds the key to lasting desire after 60. Before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it, and make sure to turn on the bell so you never miss another video that puts your health, vitality, and intimacy first. And if this message speaks to you, just type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can better support you on your journey. All right, let's get into it. Starting with the first and most urgent truth, because no matter how much desire you still feel, if your blood flow is compromised, your body simply can't respond the way it used to, and for most men over 60, this silent issue has already begun without any warning signs. Let me show you why circulation, not testosterone, is the real foundation of your sexual health, and how you can start reclaiming it today. Secret 1. Circulation is king, and it's dying in silence. Over the years, I've had countless men sit across from me in my office, frustration written all over their faces. They tell me the same story. Doc, I still feel the desire, but my body's just not keeping up. They assume it's just aging or maybe low testosterone, and they brace themselves for bad news. But here's the part they never see coming. Most of the time, what's really fading isn't their drive, it's their circulation. And that, right there, is the silent killer of sexual vitality. The truth is, by the time you're in your 60s, your blood vessels have likely narrowed significantly. Not because something's wrong with you, but because that's how the body ages. Decades of sitting, processed food, chronic stress, and even quiet inflammation add up. And while the signs might not scream at you like a heart problem would, the first place this loss of blood flow shows up is in your erections. Your penis, as strange as it may sound, is one of the most sensitive indicators of vascular health. When blood can't flow freely, intimacy suffers. That morning, firmness fades. Your confidence slips. And little by little, you start questioning your own manhood, not realizing it's a physical issue you can do something about. And let me be honest, I've seen men reverse this, not with magic pills, not with expensive procedures, but with intentional, consistent action. Simple things. Walking every day, not for speed, but to get that circulation moving. Stretching your hips, opening up the pelvic area, adding foods like leafy greens, pomegranate, and beets into your meals, because they help open up your blood vessels naturally. And here's one most men have never been told: pelvic floor exercises aren't just for women. Strengthening the muscles at the base of your pelvis, the same ones that help you stop urine midstream, can dramatically improve the firmness and control of your erections. It's not about chasing youth, it's about adapting to the stage you're in and realizing your body is still capable of connection, pleasure, and strength. What I've learned over decades of treating older men is this: when blood flows, everything changes. Energy, mood, confidence, even the way you carry yourself. And most importantly, the way you connect with your partner. You're not broken, you're not done. You're just running low on circulation. And once you fix that, the spark returns more quickly than most men expect. But circulation is just the beginning, because even with perfect blood flow, another invisible force can still sabotage your sex life. And it's one most men never consider. In fact, you could have textbook testosterone levels and still feel completely disconnected from your desire. What's going on? Let me explain. If you're still here and these insights are resonating with you, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me and that this message matters. Now, let's keep going and dive into the next important truth. Secret 2. Testosterone is only half the story. There's something I wish every older man truly understood. Testosterone matters, yes, but it is only half the story. I can't tell you how many times men have come into my office, clutching lab results with decent or even high testosterone levels, completely baffled. They say, "Doc, I've got the numbers, but I still don't feel like myself. I'm tired, I'm not in the mood, I feel flat, disconnected." And I get it, because I've seen it over and over again. It's a frustrating place to be, when the so-called magic hormone doesn't seem to be doing its job. But here's what most men don't know. Testosterone doesn't work alone. It's part of a much larger, more delicate ecosystem. And if one piece of that system is off balance, the rest can fall apart. Things like sleep, emotional stress, connection, purpose, even gut health, these all play a massive role in how your hormones behave. You can have healthy testosterone levels, but if you're not sleeping deeply, especially through your REM cycles, your body won't process it properly. If your stress hormone, cortisol, is running high, it cancels out testosterone's benefits. And if you're walking around feeling unmotivated, emotionally flat, or disconnected from your partner, no number on a chart is going to fix that. And this is where it gets personal. I've had men, strong, capable, good men, tell me in quiet, vulnerable moments, "I don't feel wanted anymore." That pain, it runs deeper than hormone levels. Because sexual vitality in your later years isn't just about physical readiness. It's about emotional presence. It's about feeling close to someone, feeling respected, feeling alive. When you begin to reconnect with those parts of yourself, when you laugh more, touch more, breathe a little easier, you'd be surprised how quickly desire begins to return. Sometimes the best testosterone booster is a hug that lasts longer than 3 seconds, or a conversation with someone who actually sees you. You don't need to chase numbers or chase youth. You need to restore balance. That means protecting your sleep, managing stress in a way that feels sustainable, finding small moments of joy and connection. These aren't just nice ideas. They are biochemically powerful. I've seen testosterone rise naturally in men who started walking at sunrise and ended the day holding their partner's hand. Not because of some supplement, but because they reawakened something inside. But even once the emotional spark returns, many men still struggle with the physical side of intimacy. And often they think the issue is coming from the penis, when in reality, the root of the problem lies deeper, in a part of the body most men never think about. What is it? Stay with me, because this one changes everything. Secret 3. Erectile dysfunction is often in the pelvis, not the penis. For years, I watched men come in convinced that their problem was entirely in their penis. They'd tried pills, gadgets, supplements, anything that promised stronger performance. But nothing seemed to work the way they hoped, and I don't blame them. The way we've been taught to think about erections is overly simple and honestly misleading. But the truth is this: the root of the problem is often not where you think it is. In fact, more often than not, erectile dysfunction in older men starts deeper, in the pelvis, not the penis. You see, the pelvic floor is a network of muscles, blood vessels, and nerves that support everything from your bladder to your sexual function. And here's the hard part. As men get older, and especially if you've spent years sitting for long periods, those muscles weaken. The blood flow decreases, nerve signals dull, and you begin to feel less sensation, less strength, less control. Not because of age alone, but because the engine under the hood, your pelvic floor, isn't firing like it used to. I remember one patient, a retired bus driver in his late 60s. He had spent decades behind the wheel, sitting 8 to 10 hours a day. When he came to see me, he felt embarrassed, like something was wrong with him. His libido was fine, and he still loved his wife, but he couldn't maintain an erection no matter how hard he tried. We ran all the usual tests. His testosterone was decent, his heart was strong. That's when I looked at his posture, his mobility, and his pelvic strength. Everything pointed to pelvic floor dysfunction. We didn't need pills, we needed a new approach. What changed his life wasn't a prescription. It was a simple routine of daily pelvic floor exercises, tightening the muscles that control urination and releasing them slowly. Combined with gentle stretches and a habit of standing up and walking every half hour, he began to feel sensation returning. Within weeks, he was more confident. Within months, his intimacy was stronger than it had been in years. The change came not from fixing his penis, but from strengthening the foundation beneath it. This is something no one tells men. You don't lose your ability to perform because you're old. You lose it when you stop supporting the systems that power your sexual function. The good news, you can get that support back. You just have to start where most men never think to look. But even when the body is working well, there's something else that can quietly pull you away from intimacy. Something more emotional, more invisible. You might not even realize it's happening until the connection with your partner starts to fade. And that secret? It's one of the most overlooked aspects of male sexuality as we age. Let's talk about it next. Secret 4. Your brain still wants intimacy, even if your body feels slower. There's a moment I'll never forget. An older gentleman, maybe 74, sat across from me during a quiet afternoon appointment. He leaned in a little, his voice low, and said, "I don't miss the sex as much as I miss being touched." That stayed with me, because it's something most men carry but rarely say out loud. As we age, the body may slow down, reflexes change, sensations soften, but the desire for closeness, for connection, never really leaves us. That longing for intimacy, for being wanted, for feeling alive in someone's arms, it doesn't fade. It just waits, quietly, hoping we don't forget it. But the world doesn't always make it easy. Many older men have been taught to define intimacy by performance, by what they can do in the bedroom, not how they feel. And when things begin to change physically, they start to believe they're failing, that they've lost something essential. What they don't realize is that intimacy isn't gone, it's evolving, and your brain still craves it just as deeply as ever. Touch, affection, eye contact, laughter, these things fire off powerful chemicals in the brain. Oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, they soothe the nervous system, boost mood, and reawaken the emotional parts of intimacy that matter more than performance ever did. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s rebuild connection with their partners not through sex first, but through small acts of closeness. Holding hands on the couch, giving a slow back rub, simply lying next to someone without expectations. And it's more powerful than you might think, because when you start removing the pressure to perform, something beautiful happens. You begin to relax, and when your nervous system relaxes, desire often follows. The intimacy becomes less about what your body can do in the moment, and more about what your presence offers. That's where real connection grows. I often encourage couples to create space for non-sexual touch, a scheduled time in the evening just for being close. No goals, no pressure, just presence. For many, it becomes the highlight of their day. And in many cases, as the emotional closeness grows, so does the physical desire. It's not about going back in time. It's about discovering something even deeper, something richer, something that honors this stage of life. So if you've been feeling distant, or if your body hasn't been responding the way it used to, don't walk away from intimacy. Walk toward it, differently, gently, intentionally. Your brain still wants it, your heart still needs it, and your partner probably does too, whether they've said it or not. But even when closeness returns, there's one final habit, one most men don't even think twice about, that can quietly erode everything you're rebuilding. It's something many of us have been doing since our teenage years. And if you're not careful, it can turn from harmless into harmful without warning. Let me show you what it is. Secret 5. Masturbation can heal or hurt, depending on how you do it. This one might surprise you, and I'll be honest, it's the one most older men are the least comfortable talking about. But we need to talk about it, because it's something nearly every man has done for most of his life. And yet, no one ever really teaches us how to do it in a way that supports our health. I've had so many men quietly confess that they still masturbate but feel ashamed about it, like it's a secret they're too old to keep. Others have simply stopped altogether, either because of guilt, lack of interest, or fear it might be doing more harm than good. The truth is, masturbation itself is not the problem. In fact, it can be deeply beneficial when it's done with intention, care, and an understanding of how your body changes with age. What hurts men over 60 isn't the act, it's the approach. I've met men who still use the same habits they had at 20, fast, aggressive, disconnected. The problem is, at this stage of life, those habits can dull sensation, cause irritation, even lead to decreased sensitivity and slower recovery. Your skin is thinner now. Your nerve endings are more delicate, your circulation requires more time and patience. That means if you treat your body like a machine, it starts reacting like one. Stiff, unresponsive, mechanical. But when you slow down, use lubrication, focus on sensation instead of speed, you activate a different part of the nervous system. The part that calms you, restores you, and brings back sensitivity instead of wearing it down. I've told my patients, and I'll tell you, the goal isn't release. The goal is reconnection to yourself, to your body, to your sense of masculinity. Masturbation can become a healthy part of your routine if it's approached like self-care, not a chore. Set the mood, breathe deeply. Take your time. You're not rushing toward a finish line. You're reawakening something that might have been asleep for a while. And for those in relationships, solo intimacy can actually improve partnered intimacy. If it's done openly and without shame, it helps you understand your body again, which allows you to communicate better, connect better, and feel more in control when you're with someone you care about. The men who embrace this shift often tell me they feel more alive, more confident, and more grounded, not just in the bedroom, but in daily life. And all it takes is a willingness to relearn something you've known forever in a way that serves you now. Because everything we've talked about so far, circulation, connection, the pelvic floor, the brain, and even self-touch, leads to one final truth. A truth that too many men discover far too late. It's not about performance, youth, or even desire. It's about something much deeper. And in the final message, I want to leave you with that one thing every man deserves to know before it's too late. Conclusion: what men regret most and what you can still do. After all these years of sitting across from men just like you, men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, I've learned that the greatest regret isn't about aging itself. It's not about losing youth or slowing down. It's not even about performance. It's about not adapting soon enough. It's about wishing they'd known earlier what could have saved them years of frustration, disconnection, and silence. They wish they had taken their circulation seriously when the signs first started showing, that they'd moved more, eaten better, stretched regularly, and strengthened the muscles that make intimacy possible. They wish they had understood that testosterone isn't a magic fix, and that emotional balance, stress, and sleep matter just as much. They wish they had looked beyond the obvious when physical issues came up, recognized that the pelvis often holds the key to erectile health, not the penis alone. More than anything, they wish they hadn't turned away from intimacy. They wish they'd leaned in, even when it felt awkward, even when their bodies were changing, because their hearts were still longing to connect. They wish they'd had the courage to be touched without shame, to ask for closeness without fear, to feel like men again without needing to prove anything. And yes, they wish they'd known that even something as simple as masturbation, when done with awareness and care, could have been a source of healing rather than harm. That it wasn't something to hide or rush through, but something that could have brought them back in touch with their own body in a healthy, respectful way. The beautiful thing is, it's not too late for you. Because everything I've shared here isn't about turning back the clock. It's about finally giving your body, your mind, and your relationships what they've been quietly asking for all along. Attention, understanding, and intention. You don't need to be 20 again to feel alive. You just need to stop ignoring the parts of yourself that are still very much awake and waiting to be seen. You can choose to move differently, to breathe deeper, to connect more fully, to touch with presence and be touched in return. That choice is still yours, right now. So if you've been feeling stuck, tired, or unsure of what's left, let me tell you what I've told every man who walked into my office thinking he was past his prime. You are not done. You are evolving, and when you begin to honor this chapter of your life with the same care you once gave your youth, something powerful happens. Your desire returns. Your strength deepens, and you realize the best kind of intimacy doesn't fade with age. It only gets richer.